All In Sports Network. We love sports.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to All In Mizzou, where we talk Mizzou every day with Rogue Media. My name's Davis Wilson. I'm back Monday. Happy Monday, everybody. Thanks for starting your week with me here. And I'll be damned. It was a big week in college football. A lot went on. A lot of big games in the SEC, outside the SEC. I had to be on Saturday morning. I had to be in Fort Worth, Texas at 7 o'clock in the morning to help produce a Baylor pregame show with the great folks at Rogue Media. So I was up early, rearing to get it going on college football. Don't tell my Rogue Media bosses and such, but I do side with the TCU folks on the Blue Bonnet rivalry, or I hate that stupid name, so I'm going to keep it as the Revivalry. I side with TCU there. I always have. So I was happy with the outcome, but it was also a lot of fun for me to get to help with the Baylor show. I got home just in time to get it going with college football, and it was a great day. From start to finish, really. There was a lot of rain. There were some delays. TCU Baylor was delayed a couple hours. Arkansas, Texas A&M was delayed 2 hours. It was raining here in Dallas. It's a nice day to just hunker down and watch football. That's what I did. And so I'm going to talk about it here. Missouri played at 6:45 Saturday evening. Missouri got a win. That's all I'll say about it for now. I'll get into that in a couple minutes. But Missouri does win the game by 6 points and cover the spread. And so, hey, there you go. I'll leave it at that for now. Okay, let's start with the AP poll update, as we always do here on Mondays. Missouri comes in at number 15. They move up one spot after the win at Auburn. They're one of 10 SEC schools to be in the AP Top 25 poll this week. Texas A&M is the leader. They're ranked number 3 in the country behind Ohio State and Indiana. You have Alabama at 4, Georgia at 5, Ole Miss at 8, Vanderbilt at 10, Oklahoma at 13, Missouri at 15, Tennessee at 17, LSU at 20, and Texas at 22. It seems like they're keeping LSU and Texas in there just to be nice, because I don't think those two teams are top 25 teams right now. But hey, I am not a voter. I'm not a voter. So what do I know? We've got some news in the SEC. The second SEC coach has been fired. Billy Napier out of Florida. We saw this one coming for a while. It makes sense. They'd lined it up to happen before the bye week, so they've got 2 weeks to get their interim in and get these guys going. But Billy Napier fired. Florida eats his $21 million buyout. In the grand scheme of things, that buyout is not super huge. We'll talk about some of these other coaches I think might be getting on the hot seat. They got some big buyouts down south, so I'll talk about that in a second. But, man, Billy Napier, what a great job he did at Louisiana years ago. And it seemed like he was everybody's pick to be the next great coach, young coach. Let me see his stuff at Louisiana. Excuse me 1 second. So he was at Louisiana for 4 years. Golly, he went 7-7, 11-3, 10-1, and 12-1. And so everybody's kind of waiting to see. Oh, he was always rumored for these jobs. Finally, he goes to he goes to Florida. He goes to Gainesville, Florida, and just can't get it done. The best season he had was last year when the Gators went 8-5, won the Gasparilla Bowl. That's the only bowl game they won. They played in the Las Vegas Bowl his first year in 2022. They lost. It just never clicked with Napier in Florida. I don't know why. There was a lot that was going on with the AD. There was some, behind the scenes stuff, I think, in that athletic department that probably wasn't helpful for Billy, but he also, had one of the best, most talented quarterbacks in the SEC this year, and DJ Lagway. And while I think DJ Lagway might be hurt a little bit, it has not been good enough. And despite Florida actually winning this week, they beat Mississippi State. Probably shouldn't have, but they did. So Napier goes out on a somewhat high note. I think fans still wanted him gone for sure. They squeaked by. I don't know if eked by is what I'm looking for there, but they squeaked by Mississippi State 23-21. And it was just because of a Mississippi State interception in field goal range that did it. So Napier is out. Who's next? Who could be next? Oh, here's another note on Napier before I get to the next stuff. He was fired after beating Mississippi State. Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M, funny enough, was also fired after beating Mississippi State. So I don't know if that's a very good stat to have if you're a Mississippi State fan. I think Mississippi State's on the right path. They've made a lot of progress. Should have beat Florida this week. And then they got Texas at home this week, which I think could be a good game. But anyway, Mississippi State getting coaches fired by losing. I don't think that's probably what you want to be known for as a program, but here we are. Who's next in the SEC? Man, some of these guys' seats are getting warm, man. I'll start with Hugh Freeze, Missouri's latest victim. Hugh Freeze and Auburn now 3-4. Winless in the SEC. They've lost by a combined 29 points in 4 SEC games, I think. So they've got to be the best 3-4 team in the country. I mean, they're just falling a little bit short. I think they absolutely overall played better than Missouri. And I'm not saying that Auburn deserved to win because I'm not sure either team really deserved to win, but Missouri made more plays late. The play calling for Auburn, which Hugh Freeze is in charge of, got pretty bad in overtime. And he's got a $15.4 million buyout, which might be the lowest in the SEC. That's pretty low. So I think that could be coming. And Auburn has to go to Fayetteville and play Arkansas. And Arkansas stinks. If there's one game that Auburn's offense can get it going, you can get Jackson Arnold throwing the ball a little bit, get Cam Coleman, really get Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton, the receivers, going. It would be against this god-awful Arkansas defense. So maybe if you go to Arkansas and get a win, you avoid the inevitable for another week, but I think Arkansas can beat Auburn. You don't need a great defense to slow down at least Arnold in the passing attack. It's just not quite there. Arnold is a good runner, and they've got a good running back in Jeremiah Cobb. But I don't know. I think Auburn absolutely should win against Arkansas. They've got a great defense that I think is going to be tough on Arkansas's very good offense, but I don't know. We'll talk about that later in the week, but that's a big one. That's just about as much as a coaching for your job game there can be. So that's a big one. Kentucky, Mark Stoops is now 2-4, 0-4 in conference play this year. Man, they should have beat Texas. They should have. They were on the goal line in overtime, gets stuffed. Texas wins by 3 points at Kroger Field. Kentucky should have won. Texas doesn't look good, but Kentucky's worse. And I don't know. Are you looking to make a change if you're Kentucky? Stoops has a $38 million buyout. My God, that is double Hugh Freeze and some. Just about double Billy Napier, almost. That is a lot of money. I don't think I'm going to eat that if I'm Kentucky, although they just got a bunch of money from Arkansas for taking John Calipari away. So maybe they'll use that buyout money to, I don't know, whatever. But that's a lot of money. I'm not sure if I'm Kentucky. I don't feel good enough about who I can get as a replacement, at least right now. I think they can probably get a guy like John Summerall from Tulane in the offseason. But right now, I think I don't know. I'm not sure he's a guy you want to fire midseason. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. A guy who just coached himself right onto the hot seat, South Carolina, Shane Beamer. Beamer ball is not looking very good. They're 3-4 now, 1-4 in the SEC. They looked awful against Oklahoma. That offense, Mike Shula offense. Mike Shula's got to be fired before Shane, I think. But geez, that offense stinks, and it doesn't make any sense. You got Lenora Sellers back there, who really isn't playing terribly, but that offense just sucks. So there's not a lot I can say about it. It was a bad game. Now Beamer's the son of Frank Beamer. For those who don't know, Frank Beamer was the coach at Virginia Tech from 1987 all the way to 2015. Shane Beamer went to Virginia Tech. There's been a lot of rumbling about Shane Beamer taking the Virginia Tech job. Does Virginia Tech want him? Probably. Virginia Tech would take just about anybody, but golly, I don't know. It's a weird situation in Columbia, South Carolina right now. It's just, this was the year you're supposed to make the playoffs. This was the year you're supposed to have a Heisman quarterback. Your defense, you got Dylan Stewart. My dad and I were talking about the Cowboys yesterday because the Cowboys took it to the Commanders. And I was talking about how I think that if the Cowboys didn't inexplicably trade Micah Parsons to their biggest out-of-division rival in the Green Bay Packers, I think that the Cowboys could win the NFC East. I think it's possible. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked here, but my dad he had a good point. He said you have Dak Prescott, who's playing the best ball he's played in his career, and you've got Micah Parsons, arguably the best defender in football. The two most important positions on each side of the ball, a quarterback and a good edge rusher, and I agree with that. And South Carolina has that here with Lenora Sellers and Dylan Stewart, and for some reason it doesn't matter. This team just isn't any good. They got blown out by Oklahoma. Maybe Shane says, I can win the ACC easier than I can win the SEC. I'm going to go to Virginia Tech and do a little nostalgia act here. I don't know. It's tough. Brian Kelly, is he on the hot seat? I'm not sure yet, but might be getting there. I don't know. By the way, Shane Beamer's buyout, $27.9 million. Pretty pity there for a coach that was a couple moments away from taking you to the playoffs last year. I'm not sure you do that right now in the middle of the year. I don't know. Those are that's the coaching update. Let's get into what happened this week in the SEC. OU bounces back. South Carolina falls flat. Oklahoma wins 26-7. A nice bounce back win for Oklahoma after a very disappointing loss in Dallas at the Cotton Bowl last week against Texas. Lenora Sellers. I'm talking about Oklahoma. John Mateer, 150 passing yards on 18 of 26 passing, 1 touchdown. He's probably still not 100% yet. I don't know. But Oklahoma's rushing game finally looks decent. Their defense, good grief, that defense is very good. 6 sacks. 13 tackles for loss. That's might be the best defense in the country. I don't know. And South Carolina just stinks. They just stink right now, man. That was a home game for them too. So there you go. Oklahoma wins. Man, Vanderbilt is at Vanderbilt. Let's talk about this. Missouri has to play at Vanderbilt, at home against Texas A&M, and at Oklahoma. Those are the three toughest games in my eyes for the rest of the year. They also host Mississippi State and go to Arkansas. But those three I mentioned, at Vanderbilt versus Texas A&M and at Oklahoma, I think are the three toughest games yet left. Is there an argument to made to good God, I can't talk. Is there an argument to be made that at Vanderbilt this Saturday is the toughest game left on Vanderbilt's schedule? Vanderbilt looks like a damn good team. They're up to number 10 in the AP poll. Oh, man. That's a really good team. Really, really good. They beat LSU 31-24. Pavia, 160 passing yards, 86 rushing yards, 3 total touchdowns. Vanderbilt's got a couple tight ends that are tough to cover. The defense did enough. The defense, couldn't buy a stop there until the fourth quarter, and then it really got some stops. And LSU, man. LSU now 5-2, 2-2 in the SEC. Garrett Nussmeier doesn't look healthy still, just not quite what you thought you were going to get out of this LSU offense. Caden Durham only 59 yards rushing. I don't know, man. It's tough. It's very tough because that LSU defense is still pretty good, although they didn't have much success stopping in the Commodores. 31-24 in Nashville. All right. Best game of the day, Georgia hosting Ole Miss. I had Georgia -7. I bet on it. And it looked like that bet was never going to hit. And then, Georgia can't get a stop. It looks like a totally foreign Kirby Smart defense cannot get a stop. But they tighten up in the second half, end up winning the game 43-35. Just barely cover. I'll take it though, right? Gunnar Stockton looks really good. 26 of 31, 289 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. Trinidad Chambliss, pretty good game himself, 263 yards, a touchdown. There was a lot of offense in this game. There was about 860 total yards of offense. Georgia had 510 of them. Georgia was able to run the ball. Ole Miss was not. That's where this game, there was a big difference in this game. But, man, what a fun game this was. Back and forth. Ole Miss kind of gives it away. It looked like they were going to do it, get a really, really nice win on the road at Georgia. But the Bulldogs pull it out, winning the game 43-35. Alabama, Tennessee. The Alabama Crimson Tide win the game 37-20. Probably a bit closer than that. There was at the end of the first half, Tennessee was about to score. They were deep in the red zone. Instead, they throw a pick six that is a 14-point swing. And Alabama wins at 37-20. Like I said, Alabama, one of the best teams in the country. Ty Simpson looks good again. Ryan Williams had a nice day. Tennessee outgained Alabama. Out first downed Alabama. But it's not enough. Sometimes it's just not enough. The pick six was really the difference in this game. I know it was a 17-point game, but that pick six was brutal. If you take that pick six away, and assume Tennessee scores, it's 27-30. And that would be the final score. I imagine things go differently if that pick six doesn't happen, but just a huge mistake there by Joey Aguilar. What else do we have? Missouri, Auburn. We'll talk about that in a second. Texas at Kentucky. Good God. It's time to ring the panic bell here. at least for this year. I'm not going to be one of those guys that gets on here and has a big hot take about how Arch Manning sucks. I don't think that's smart to do. He's still pretty young in his actual playing career, but he doesn't look good right now. He just doesn't. 12 of 27, 132 passing yards. Texas's offense is just not good. 179 total yards. They won this game, and they had 179 total yards. Kentucky had 395 total yards. I don't know how Kentucky didn't win this game. In the fourth quarter, in overtime, Kentucky was on the doorstep. On the doorstep. At the goal line. They go for it. They don't get it. Texas kicks the field goal, wins the game 16-13. In Lexington, Kentucky. Neither team should feel very good about that game. And then lastly, Mississippi State at Florida. Mississippi State had it. They had it. Oh, my gosh. A brutal interception ends the game. Blake Shapen throws a pick at the Florida 29-yard line. All you got to do is not do that, and you have a chance. You have a 46-yard field goal to win the game if you just don't throw a pick. But they throw a pick, and that's the game. It was a defensive tackle that picked it off, too. He dropped back into coverage. Shapen didn't see him. Shapen played an otherwise pretty good game, 24-34, 324 yards. Running back Davon Booth, 105 yards and 2 touchdowns. Oh, man, Mississippi State still searching for its first SEC win. It's looked pretty good. They got a good chance here on Saturday hosting Texas. I don't know what's going to happen in that game. All right, before we get to Missouri, let's go over my weekly power rankings here for Week 8. The top, a few changes in the top, some changes in the middle. The bottom's still very much familiar if you've been listening on Mondays for the past couple weeks. Kentucky coming in. Excuse me. Kentucky coming in here at number 16. They play Tennessee next week, number 17, Tennessee. Not much to say about Kentucky. They just aren't good. Number 15, I still have Arkansas. They almost squeaked out a win against Texas A&M, but that defense is just so bad. And it doesn't seem to matter how good the offense plays because the defense can't do anything. If it was just an offensive ranking, Arkansas would be near the top of the list, but the defense is so bad that it doesn't matter. I still have Arkansas 15. They got a chance to get a win here against Auburn, though. If they beat Auburn, they'll move up the list. At some point I want to move something in the bottom two because it's been the same every week I've done this. South Carolina at number 14. I don't know what's going on there. Very high expectations coming into the year, and they've just fallen totally flat. They got number 4 Alabama. So it doesn't get any easier for old Shane Beamer and the Gamecocks. Doesn't get any easier. And actually, they got listen to what they have coming up here. They're home against Bama. Then they go to Ole Miss and they go to Texas A&M. Good grief. That's about as tough as it gets here. I don't know. There's not much opportunity to find a way to win some games. It's too late for that. Their easy portion of the season was in the beginning, and they didn't take advantage of it. Florida, number 13. They're head coachless now. Billy Napier out the door. I imagine that's going to be a pretty sought-after job. I meant to talk about this when I was doing my coaching segment, but I think Florida's now the best job in the market. I think I would say it's a better job than Penn State just because you're SEC. You got Florida recruiting, a hotbed of Florida high school football in your backyard. I imagine Drinkwitz might get some looks here, and I don't think he'll leave, but we'll probably see his name on the lists. Florida, number 13, they got to bye this week. Auburn, number 13. Man, they're close. They just can't do it. Couldn't find a win here against Missouri. They go to Fayetteville to play Arkansas this week. Number 11, Mississippi State should have had its first win against Florida, but they didn't. Interception, like I just said, killed them. They host Texas this week, a chance to win. Speaking of Texas, Texas is number 10. It's weird because this middle part of the list, I don't love any of these teams, but you've got to rank everybody. So Texas at number 10, they're still only a 2-loss team. They still have an opportunity to get things turned around, but they just don't look any good. So that's that. Like I said, they go to Mississippi State. LSU, number 9, they played Texas A&M this week. The offense isn't good enough right now. If it gets good enough, they're going to be a good team, but because that defense is good, but the offense has a lot of stuff to figure out. Maybe they can do it against Texas A&M this week. Oklahoma, number 8. They host number 8 Ole Miss. That's going to be a great game this weekend. Oklahoma, a very nice win over South Carolina, dominant on the road. Number 7, I have Tennessee. Tennessee lost to Alabama. Like I said, probably shouldn't have been a 17-point game, but hey, I'll take it as an Alabama spread better. By the way, let me get to my picks from last week after this. Don't let me forget. Number 6, Missouri going to Vanderbilt this weekend. Number 10, Vanderbilt. The top 15 matchup. College game day will be in Nashville. I'm so excited for this week. It's going to be a good game. Oh, I think Vanderbilt looks way better than Missouri does right now, but I'm excited for the build up to this week. I got a really exciting guest coming on. Former Vanderbilt kicker, Will Ferris. One of my very, very good friends is coming on Friday. Well, I'll talk to him on Thursday, but the show will go out on Friday. We'll preview the Vanderbilt Missouri game. I'm sure that's going to be fun. He's got a lot of thoughts on Missouri and Vanderbilt, so that'll be interesting. Be sure to tune in Friday. Number 5, Vanderbilt. Nice win over LSU. Like I said, they got college game day coming to Nashville. I wonder who the guest picker will be. They already wasted Theo Vaughn on an Alabama game. They've got so many people in Nashville. They'll find somebody. They should bring, I think Taylor Swift's from Nashville. Maybe they should try to get Taylor Swift. That'll be pretty easy to get her, I think. You can get her. Ole Miss, number 4. They go to Oklahoma this week. Very tough loss to Georgia. Should have won the game probably, but it's just tough to win in Athens. Number 3, Texas A&M. They go to number 20, LSU. That could be a decent game. I think, A&M keeps getting by the skin of their teeth. They're number 3 in the country right now, but I think they're due for a loss at some point. I don't know. Georgia, number 2, they got a bye this week. Like I said, very nice win over Ole Miss coming from behind. And then number 1 remains unchanged, Alabama. That's the best team in this conference for sure, in my opinion. They go to South Carolina this weekend. All right. Before I do Missouri, let's talk about the picks. If you remember, if you came here on Friday, you made some money. I made you some money if you came here on Friday and watched this show. Or sorry, Thursday. It was a Thursday show where I gave you picks. But here were my picks. I went 4-0 in my serious picks. I had Oklahoma to cover. Check. I had Alabama to cover. Check. I had Mississippi State to cover. Check. I had Missouri to cover. Somehow Missouri covered. Check. My upset money line pick was Arkansas. They almost did it. I count that as a almost win. That's pretty good. But 4-0, man. Hey, maybe I should make this a gambling show because I want some money this week. Hopefully someone took my bets. Probably not. But I hope someone took my bets because you want some money and you're welcome. All right, let's talk Missouri. It's been about 30 minutes and we still haven't even talked about this Missouri game. Ooh, all right. I've got some thoughts on this game. This game was not fun to watch, basically at any point. Up until overtime, basically. This game was painfully unfun to watch. It just wasn't any fun. I'm sure it wasn't fun for either fan base. I wasn't having fun. I was at a Mizzou watch party bar in Dallas. The Missouri fans there weren't having fun. Some of my non-Missouri fan friends bet on Missouri. They weren't having fun. Nobody was having fun. But if I told you on, say, Thursday, I actually picked Missouri to win by 6 points. I picked 27-21. If I told you before this game that Missouri won by 6 at Auburn, or if you told me that, I'd say, great, perfect. So that's the most positive thing I can say about this game. Missouri won it by 6 points. They got lucky. They got a lot of help from Auburn's kicker. They got some help from Hugh Freeze's play calling there at the end. But the big picture is, I know Missouri fans are going to be frustrated, but you won a game on the road in the SEC by 6. We've seen it all year. It's tough to win on the road, regardless of who you are in the SEC. Texas almost lost at Kentucky. A&M almost lost at Arkansas. Almost losses don't count as losses. Missouri gets a win, 23-17. I'm gonna start with the offense here because, like I do always, I'm gonna rewatch the offense tomorrow, rewatch the defense on Wednesday. But let's start with the offense here. Nothing worked, and somehow Missouri won this game. They couldn't pass, they couldn't run, they turned the ball over. I don't know. I don't know what the hell happened, but Missouri won this game, and they finished the game with 343 yards total. Auburn outgained them, 357 total yards. Bo Prabula was 23 of 40, 252 yards, 2 interceptions. One of the interceptions was terrible, just a bad throw off his back foot. The other one was kind of a desperation throw on 3rd and forever. He didn't have a lot of time. You got to cut him a little bit of slack there. He did not have much time. Bo Prabula was blitzed 25 times on 47 dropbacks. That's quite a bit. That is 53.2% of the time. He was sacked 3 times, pressured 16 times. On 47 dropbacks, he was pressured 16 times. So the offensive line was bad. Couldn't run block at all. Definitely couldn't pass block, but couldn't run block. Ahmad Hardy had 24 carries on 58 yards, and Ahmad Hardy's a guy, even if you got bad run blocking, you think he's going to have a pretty good day. But they were jumping on him 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage right when he gets the ball. Like, the offensive line was Swiss cheese with all the holes. And Ahmad Hardy finishes with 2 touchdowns still, 58 rushing yards, averaged just 2.4 yards per carry. If you keep rushing like you rushed against Auburn and Alabama, you're not going to win. You're not going to beat Vanderbilt. You're not going to beat A&M. You're not going to beat Oklahoma. You're not going to beat a lot of these teams if you can't figure out how to get your run game going again. That's just the truth, the fact of the matter. Bo looked very uncomfortable when he was blitzed. But I get you have to give him credit. He did make some really nice throws. There was a big 3rd and 10 throw he made to Kevin Coleman, and I think it was the second overtime. I think. Yeah, I think it was the second overtime. Sorry, I just buffered. I think it was the second overtime. I'm pretty sure. That was a great throw over the middle. He was blitzed, had to get it away. Nice catch from Kevin Coleman. He found Alubade a lot. If you listen on Friday to my show with Adam, we talked about how Alubade has to get more involved, and they got him more involved, and he might be this team's best receiver. I'll talk about that right now. Actually, I was going to say it later, but why not talk about it right now? I think Donovan Alubade, true freshman from Florida, I think he's the best receiver on this team, and I think it's close because Kevin Coleman, I love him. And in a way, he's maybe the most dangerous, getting the ball in his hand. But Alubade was just, massive in this game. There was a couple plays where he had to have a catch, and he had a catch. There was one where he caught it and made a man miss and got all the way down to the goal line pretty much, setting up Hardy's second touchdown. I think that was the sequence. And then, I think he's just really good. I think he's really, really good. And he has to be a focal point of this offense moving forward. He had 5 catches for 69 yards. Joshua Manning also had a nice day. 5 catches, 63 yards. Kevin Coleman Jr., 4 catches for 61. Marquise Johnson, 4 catches for 26. Brett Norfleet, only 2 catches for 9 yards. Got to get him more involved, especially in the red zone. But, yeah, I think Bo hasn't looked great in SEC play, and it's slightly concerning. The interception in the first half where you're up by 3 and now you're driving, you cannot throw a pick there in the red zone. He throws a terrible pass. I think it was intended for Joshua Manning. It's picked off, and that's so bad because you can take a 17-7 lead or at least a 13-7 lead. But you don't. You throw a pick, bad. But man, was he nails in double overtime? Yes, he was. He was good. And he was great in double overtime. You have to give him credit there. It was double overtime that he found. He was blitzed big time. Found Kevin Coleman for 12 yards on 3rd and 10. Then he had a nice run. Obviously, ran it, kept it, ran it in the end zone for a touchdown to take the lead, take that 6-point lead that Missouri would hold on to for the rest of the game. Huge play there. I need to talk about this sequence at the end of regulation, though. We could praise him for what happened in double overtime. That was great, but the sequence to end double overtime, the worst 4-play sequence or 3-play sequence I've ever seen in my life. So Missouri's driving here. It's tied 17-17. It's tied. Missouri gets the ball with 2 minutes and 51 seconds. They're driving down the field. Bo is making good passes. Hits Josh Manning for 12 yards. Kevin Coleman Jr. for 14 yards. Alubade for 10. Jamal Roberts for 15. Marquise Johnson for 10. And that gets you to the Auburn 30. Marquise Johnson's, it was a little slant to Marquise Johnson, pickup of 10. There's a flag thrown for unnecessary roughness. Marquise Johnson absolutely flopped. But I don't know how you pick up that flag, first of all. Stupid, I think. They pick up the flag, so you're at the 30 here. You're first and 10 at the 30-yard line, which means that's a 47-yard attempt. And I get that you do not want to count on Robbie Meyer to make a 47-yard kick. You don't want to count on it. But he could have attempted it, and he could have tried. So all you really have to do is not go backwards. And guess what Missouri did? First and 10, Bo Pribula sacked for a loss of 7. Next play, Bo Pribula threw a backward pass to Jamal Roberts. Terrible pass, fumble, loss of 6 yards, goes out of bounds. Missouri keeps it. Next, guess what? False start. Back it up again. Now it's 3rd and 23. It's 3rd and 28 now. 3rd and 28. Guess what happens? You throw a pick. That's it. Overtime. All you have to do is run the ball. Just run it 3 times. Hindsight is 20/20, and I would have been mad if they ran it 3 times, picked up 2 yards, and forced Robert Meyer to kick a 45-yard field goal, and it missed. I would have been mad about that, but it's better than whatever the hell that was. It was the worst 3-play sequence I've seen in my lifetime of watching football. And it should have cost Missouri the game. Luckily, Missouri gets it done in overtime. All right, it's been a long time. It's time to talk about this defense. Look, there's still some serious issues in the secondary. Toriano Pride is killing me. I don't know what the hell he's doing out there a lot of the time, just leaving guys open. He got totally beat by Cam Coleman. Cam Coleman had 108 receiving yards, by the way. Really nice game for him. Got totally beat by Cam Coleman there. I think it was in the first quarter. Jackson Arnold actually makes an incredible throw. Perfect throw right in the hands. Cam Coleman drops it. It's lucky because it would have been a touchdown if he caught it. The next play, Toronto Pride gets an interception. I have to give him credit there. It was a nice catch, a big play. But he just got beat so much. And even when they're playing zone, it doesn't seem like he knows what he's doing. Stephen Hall got beat a couple times. Just like, gosh, the cornerbacks, man, they're going to kill this team. But the defensive line was awesome today. Really, really was awesome. Or not today. I keep doing that. The defensive line I thought was really good. Auburn did run for 150 yards. So the rushing defense probably could have been a bit better. But when it mattered, this defense was so tough. And that is what I like to see. When it matters, the defense stepped up. Zion Young was just a maniac all game. The coin toss incident was hilarious. It seemed like it fired the team up because he got a sack in overtime. He finished the game with 2 sacks. He is just so good, and he played his butt off and just was awesome. Zion Young, man, it's so good. Josiah Trotter had a sack. He's just good every week, just really good. 2 tackles for loss for him. Chris McClellan, a big sack there. Marquise Gracial was huge. Had a huge tackle for loss. Auburn had the ball at the 1 yard line on 3rd down at the Missouri's 1 yard line. And this is when they're already up by 3, I think. I think it's 17-14 at this point. If they score, it's 24-14 and the game is over. Missouri does not win the game. Instead, Marquise Gracial bursts through the line of scrimmage, wraps up the Auburn running back. I think it was Cobb for a loss of like 3, force a field goal. And then it was Auburn took its lead. I think it was 17. I'm having trouble remembering. I think it was 17-14 after the field goal. So it must have been 14. You know what? I have the play-by-play. Let me just go look at it. Gosh. Good God. Yeah, here. Okay, so it was 14-10. Yeah, so 14-10. If they score a touchdown, it's 21-10. The game's over. Instead, Gracial makes a huge play, forces a field goal, 17-10, allows Missouri to tie it up later in the game. Marquise Gracial also had a big time set tackle for loss and double overtime. Huge tackle for loss. So the defensive line I thought was really good. Front 7 still. Tristan Newsom I thought had a nice day. Santana Banner got involved a little bit. I thought he wasn't half bad. Damon Wilson didn't have a sack, but I'm counting that last play of the game as a sack because he had him totally wrapped up. And then Arnold pitched the ball to his offensive lineman, which is cheating. So I'm going to give Damon Wilson a sack there. Nobody else will. But I will. I'm going to. Let's see. Missouri got pressure 14 times on 41 dropbacks for Auburn. They blitzed 20 times. So finished game with 5 sacks. Pretty good. I mean, I just think they showed up late. They really, really showed up late. They dominated the first overtime, pushed Auburn backwards, dominated the second overtime. And both times, I mean, the first overtime, you don't know. It's tied 17-17. Let's hold him to a field goal. They hold him to a field goal. He misses it. It may have been blocked because it was just a terrible field goal attempt. It's like a 50-yarder that didn't even reach It didn't even get through the end zone. So I don't know if it was blocked or not, but anyway, it was huge. Zion Young was, a sack there, and then Gracial. Sorry, it was a Zion Young sack. Gracial was double overtime. So you force 0 points, and then Missouri scores on the second overtime. They don't get the 2-point conversion. So now you know what you need to do as a defense. I've got to get a stop, and I can't allow a 2-point conversion. They don't even do that. All they do is they force a 4-and-out and win the game. It's just when it has mattered, this defense has bailed this offense out. And I don't know how sustainable that is. And I don't think this defense was perfect or really even close to it, because there's still so many issues in the passing game when you're not getting pressure, which there were a lot of I thought the pressures were going to get more pressure. They really didn't get as many pressures as I thought. They let Arnold get outside and run. So was it perfect? No, but I do think that this unit is the unit that won the game for Missouri. Zion Young was named the SEC Defensive Lineman Player of the Week. Well deserved. I just thought it was, I mean, I think that's the bright spot of this team, is that defensive line. And while the run D wasn't great, I thought that they got it going in the end, and that's what matters. That's what matters. They lead Missouri to the win. I also thought Sterling Webb was very good. He had a sack. Didn't mention him yet, but those defensive tackles they got about 4 that they like to use to rotate in and out. And I mean, I was pretty excited about that. Look at some snap counts here on defense. Newsom was 28 snaps. Let me go to those defensive tackles. Sterling Webb, 45 snaps. Chris McClellan, 63 snaps. Marquise Gracial, 23. Jalen Marshall, 10. So there you go. Nicholas Rodriguez, 13 snaps. He really was not good. He was terrible. 2 very costly penalties. There you go. But on the defensive line, you have Zion Young with 58 snaps. You have Damon Wilson with 53. Langdon Kitchen had 17. He had 4 pressures too. Langdon Kitchen was good. I didn't mention him yet. He was good. Anyway, I that's all I'm going to do today. I'm going to get into all this more later, but my takeaway is this. You won on the road in the SEC, which you can never take for granted. It was ugly. It was disgusting to watch for most of the game, but a 6-point win. That's what I predicted. I said 27-21. It was 23-17. If you would have told me that I was right and they were going to win by 6, I'd say, okay, hell yeah. Just the way it looked wasn't very exciting, but you'd much rather have a lot to correct after a win than a loss. And Missouri is 6-1 now, and they go on the road to play a top 10 opponent with a massive chance to make a statement. And we'll get into that later this week, but Missouri wins 23-17. Zion Young steps up late. Bo Perbula makes some big plays late. Donovan Olubide is the man. The offensive line needs work. They're your takeaways. All right, I will be back tomorrow to talk more about this offense and how they break down its performance. I'll rewatch the game, look at play calling, look at all that. So come back for that. Appreciate you guys being here. Happy Monday, MIZ.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.